In the last tutorial we created the main splines for the head, and in this one we want to start creating the geometry for the head. So first of all I'm going to start out down here at the chin, and I'm going to start creating some, actually need to go in here. If I look at the lips here, I want to just start dropping in these splines. Now I don't see any. Let's go into shaded mode. Now I see them and I can see that the normals are facing correctly. So let's keep it in shaded mode. And let's just keep attaching here. And you can see now I've got pretty good geometry for the mouth. I'll go in and fix it a little bit in a minute, but I'm going to keep going here. Let's just keep drawing out these splines. Oops, missed that one. Now it looks like I've got one more there, so I actually want to divide this and this one, and it'll probably hook in right there. So go here to here, here to here, here to here, here. Let's actually see here. Actually, let's delete that. Go to here. This one can go here. This one can go straight across to here. This can keep going this way. This can go here to here, and then we can just hook it right there. This one. Now you can see the shape a little bit better. I actually want to bring these out, so I hold down 3 while I do it, and I bring these out. I actually want to move these more like this. I'm going to want to put another spline right along the lip here and go up, and I'll probably go just up into the nose from that spline. But let's see what we can do. Let's go to wireframe and just start plopping a spline in here. Let's do that. Then let's take this spline and use the 3 key and move it back so we get a lip. Make sure this one. Back in here. Let's hit page up one more time so we can see really what the geometry is going to look like. That's a good lip. I like kind of a sharp edge on the bottom there. But let's kind of bring it out. When you're working with things that wrap around the head, you want them to go out in a radial direction. Like I don't want just all my splines going straight up the front here. I want them following as if I go to my top view, they're coming from this center point and moving out like this. So when I've got lips or anything like that, I want them going out in this direction. Let's go back to hit 7 on your numpad. You can see here we're getting there. Let's add this one in. Add this here. Okay. Add this to here, this one to here, and then maybe move this one up a bit. This one, let's go out to here. And this is actually going to be perfect because I can just do this to here and go right back into that spline that we created at the beginning. Now I can just select these 5 faces, or these 5 right here, create a 5-point patch, and these 5 right here, create a 5-point patch. And there I go. There's my upper lip. This is looking pretty good. Okay. So, and then I can start just attaching these here to here, and just kind of going up the side of the head here, attaching things in, and I can attach them in different places and just delete that one point. Attach here. And I can kind of look here how I want to do this. Actually, I'm going to just do that. Get rid of this one and get rid of that one. Okay. Now, this shape right here, this one, I actually don't think I need it, so we'll just do that. And then I want to make sure that I'm moving these out. So there's my jawline. Looks pretty good. Looks like the shape I want, and it's very low res, which is good. So let's keep moving on here. Now, if I go to my side view here, I'm actually going to go to Tools, Customize, choose Objects, and then choose Black. Say OK. Now I can see my lines on top of all this. So next thing I want to do is I want to think, where do I want these splines to go? One of these is going to have to go across and over here, and these are all going to start connecting into the eye. And we're also going to have this that comes around, and it'll probably come around and go into a lip here. So let's go to our side view and then just start drawing. I'm bunching the CPs up here because I'm going to have more resolution right there. Let's do this, delete that one, let's pull it out here, to here. Let's just go to that one right there. So now I'm going to use my 1 key and start pulling these out. As you can see here for my eyebrow. Go right there, right here, push this up. I'm going to create the bridge for the nose, and I want to bring this in. Just going to bring this down to here and split that one and attach these two, and then move this one back holding down the 3 key and then the 2 key to move it up. I'm liking what I see here. So let's keep moving these. I think what I'm going to do here is have this one come across here, and this one come down and go right here. And I'll have this kind of split these two. This come up and over. This one, kind of keep doing the same here. Okay. Let's move these up, kind of round out the shapes. And let's put this one in here, and then just hook it right there. Go into my side view, drag this out. Let's make sure that we get these kind of halfway in between, so we get a good curvature. also use the arrow keys to do it a little more accurately. But this is looking pretty good. We're getting a pretty smooth surface, which is good. The less splines that you have to have, the better. It just helps so much to not have to worry about that. So let's hit Y to do that. Attach that in and drag it out. This is the cheekbone. So we definitely want some shape there. Now this, I can just create a 5-point patch. Should make this a little smaller here. Go here, and then hook it. Oops. Hit Shift K to unhook it and redo it in the middle there. It's a good place for a hook because it's very flat. Move this out here. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's actually bring these in a little closer. And then let's go up this way. Actually, let's not, just to keep it flat. Let's keep it nice and easy to work with here. I was going to, you can see how I've got these two hooks. I might as well bring them around here, but that'll create some warping. So I just don't want to do that. Let's create this 5-point patch and see how it looks. So hit hide, select the whole thing, create it, and hit H again to unhide it. Let's do this one too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Create it. Flip it if you need to. Looks like we may need one more spline right here. And we also may need one more to go around here. The best thing to do is to get 5-point patches so that they're almost equal on every side. So let's put another one in here. Hook it right there. Bring this over here. Let's go to our side view, and then we can bring these down a little more, kind of space them out evenly. Let's create this 5-point patch. Looks good. Places you almost always have 5-point patches is around the mouth, which we have right here, and around the eyes, which we have right here. It's actually really good that we only have 2 5-point patches that we're working with. Sometimes you get multiple ones. You get one up here and one down here, and so it's good to have minimal 5-point patches. They used to render really poorly. They do a lot better now, but still it's a good habit to get into, not using them if you don't have to. To only use them to change spline directions. You can see here how I kind of want this to smooth out a bit. See how it renders. Just hit Q and right click and drag. Looking pretty good. Actually, it looks really good for having those 5-point patches in there. Okay, so now let's start working with the eye. First, what I want to do is I want to go to my front view. Let's hit Save As. We'll head 03. You don't have to have the new on there. Just hit 03. Now one thing I want to make sure that I do is I want to make sure that that my eyebrow, let me go to my front view again here, is moving around this way. So here's my nose. bridge of my nose, and this is the edge of my eyebrow. And I want to go in from there, so I'm actually going to move this a little bit here. Okay, and I'll save it. So now let's make sure that these are kind of all in the right spots. When I'm using hooks, I want to make sure that the geometry that I have is pretty spaced evenly. It's pretty much spaced evenly, so I'm just making sure here. Smooth. Okay. Alright, so we're looking good here. It's getting kind of looking pretty good. Now, working with the eye here, we want to start to bring the geometry from the eye in. Now what I've got here is this is the edge of the eye, or the edge of the eyelid, and I want to mold it around an eye. So let's go to the front view and hit A to add a spline, and just click and click, just like that. Now with one selected, hit the lathe button, and that will give you kind of a tube, if you will. Just delete one of the splines, select the other, and then go down to rotate, and in its x-axis type in 90. So it turns it around like this. Now select one of the splines, hit K to break it, select those three, hit delete. And what I'm doing is I'm going to create a sphere, and I just want to move it over very slightly with the arrow keys, just one or two clicks. It's zoom sensitive, so if I stay in this zoom, if I go 1, 2, I'm back on that line. But if I zoom out and I grab this and I go 1, 2, it's even smaller. So it is, what you do is you grab it and then just go 1, 2. The reason why I do that, I'll show you here. Grab one of the CPs and hit lathe. Now I've got a sphere. If I didn't do that, if I left this directly on the axis, it would have created a pinch here, and when you render it, it'll show pinches along here. But because that hole is so small, you don't even notice it on the eye. So the reason why I moved it over slightly was so that even though you'll have this little hole in there, you won't get any sort of wrinkling when you render. It'll render nice and smooth. So if I hit Q and right click and drag, you can see how it'll render. So now I've got this nice sphere that I can use for my eye. So I'm going to go to my front view, select this sphere and lock it down just by hitting the lock button right there. Grab it, move it so that, go into wireframe mode, so that the center of it is on the pupil as you've drawn it, as you want it to be in there, like that. And then I want to shrink it down so it fits the eye. I'm actually, I think I'm going to put the pupil a little lower than in my drawing, so I'm actually going to put the eye right there. Now I go to my side view by hitting 6, and then hit N to go into manipulator mode, and then move it forward until it gets to right there, right where you need it. Now if I look at it, go into shaded mode here, you can see how the way I dragged those CPs back, they go through the eye. So I want to unlock everything, select that spline, hit the comma key to select the whole thing, and lock it down. That way I can't mess with the eyeball. So now I just want to start taking these and moving them so that they fit around in a smooth manner around the eye. So I'm going to start pulling these out a little more. This one I'm going to move out. using the 1 key. Just move it out this way. This one 2. Go into my front view and I can see what I'm doing here. Just move this one in slightly. This one. Move it out. Just kind of move them wherever they need to be so that they're on the outside of the model. And you can see these aren't, so I'm actually going to move them out like this, and then this one, move it out also. So now I've got all of these lined up so that they will create a lid around the eye. Now that I've got that, I want to select that spline with a comma, so just select the spline, hit the comma key, and it'll select that. Hit E to extrude, and then just enlarge it. Now it looks like my normals are flipped, so just select the whole thing, hit F to flip the normals. And what I want to do is select that one again, and just go barely out from it, like that. Hit E again, and then make it bigger. Now this one I want to move back because that will be the eyelid. So I want to move it back using the 3 key, or just clicking and dragging, depends on what view you're in. If I go to my side view with 6, I can just drag over like this, drag these down so that they're the lid for the eye. This one doesn't need to go quite as far. These need to go back pretty far, like that. This one needs to go back quite a bit. It's not really the eyelid, it's just where it will connect in. And then this is kind of where I want to set how my eyelid looks. I actually want it higher up front, and then I want to bring it down. So go like this, just pull it down slightly. So now I've kind of got how I want my eyelid to look. So now what I'm going to do is start connecting it in. And we may add another spline around here, which is totally fine. Let's unlock it. Let's select this piece of geometry and this one. Hit the / key to select the whole thing, and then lock it. That way we're not messing around with this eye. But let's start adding in our geometry here. You can see how it's not perfectly lined up, but we will line it up ourselves. This one we can just go over that. And this one I probably want to go up. So we go here, here, and then I'm going to hook it. Just like that. Now as you can see, if I left it the way it is, our eyebrows would be pretty funky. So I'm actually going to want to put another spline in there, which is very easy. It's easy to do. So basically all I need to do is just add it in. That actually worked very well, because now I've got 2 very good 5-point patches that I can work with. Okay, so now I can take it and I can start pulling these down and out. so that my eyebrow works. And now that I look at it, maybe I don't want this eyelid up so high. I just kind of want it out like this. Just enough to indicate an eyelid. Oh, don't want to do that with the bias. Accidentally did that. Sometimes in Animation Master, the bias handles won't show up after modeling for a while, as you can see here. What you have to do is you have to click off of everything else and then click on it again. Just another one of those fun quirks of Animation Master. So I'm just using the constrain buttons 3, 1, etc. to kind of shape this how I want it. I want him to have a big brow because I want his eyebrow to be very expressive. I want him to be able to make a lot of extreme movements, if you will, with his eyebrow. So let me move this out here. Make sure I'm keeping my half rule. Make sure each spline is, or each one is halfway in between the others. That will give me a nice smooth curve. And one thing I can do is, if you look, if I go to my front view here, go into my wireframe, I wanted this kind of bulge look underneath the eyelid. So I'm going to try and do that. Bring this up, and this one too. Not really a bulge, but more of like a ridge underneath the eyelid there. That way when it renders, it'll have a nice little little shadow below the eyelid. But you can see how very sensitive these splines are. If you just little tweaks here and there create big wrinkles. That's one disadvantage of working with Animation Master, working in Hash. Whoa, didn't mean to do that. Is that you do get a lot of wrinkling. So just kind of moving around the model, making sure that things are where they need to be on around this eyebrow out a little more. Remember the half rule. Halfway in between. So let's look at it from a few different angles here. That's looking pretty good. This area here maybe just needs to be smoothed out a bit. Looking at things on in a foreshortened view often help with determining where you need to place your splines and how you can make just slight adjustments. If you look down the spline, if you look at it this way, if I look at this spline right here, if I look at it this way, it's hard to perceive very slight variations, but if I look at it right here, I can see how that one needs to come up. I can see how this needs to come out just a little bit. This one does too, just slightly. This one needs to come down just a little. I can see this bump right here. I need to just kind of smooth it out very gently. You can see how much that affects the shape of the geometry. So I've got my chin here, my lips. Let's save it so that we don't lose any information. It's kind of a joke that we call Animation Master Crashimation Master because it likes to crash. It's a great tool. It's a great tool nonetheless. So I'm just smoothing these out just slightly, a little bit at a time, to get the shape I want. It looks pretty good. I'll just move these out just a little bit. Get halfway there. Okay. Okay, so my geometry is looking pretty good right there. This is getting a little wiggly, so I move it back. But it's looking pretty good. I've got a good cheekbone there. It's giving me some good definition in his face. And these 5-point patches are actually doing really well where they're at. So let's go on to his nose real quick. I'm going to want to have this spline attach in right there and just go right up the front of his face. So I'm going to divide that twice, go into my side view by hitting 6 on the numpad, and then just kind of line these up like that. Then I can add these splines in like this. And then I want this one to go here, this one to go here, this one can go straight up. Actually, I'm going to want it to go here, and then up to here. And this one right here, what I could do with it, let's see here. Thing I could do is I could actually just have it, let's break this one, go straight up here to this spline. And then what we can do is have this one come down around the nose and go underneath, just like so. So now what I have to do is, there's a 5-point patch right here. This patch right here needs to be flipped. This one needs to be flipped. And this one needs to be created. Okay. So now let's just shape out this very simple nose. And one thing I want to do is go into my side view, and because these two splines are really close right here, and there's nothing over here, I'm getting kind of a weird shape, so I'm going to move these way down. So they're about halfway between. Move this here. And then I want to move these down. One more thing that I want to do is I actually want to put one more spline in here so that I get a good definition on the nostril. I can do one of two things. I can move this back like this and kind of pinch it down, if you will. Or I can put another spline in there, and I think that's what I'll do. So I'm going to divide these. Get it? Okay. So now I've just got those two 5-point patches, but what I can do is I can now take these and actually tuck them behind, pull these out to create a nostril. very simple nostril. Now I'm not going to put holes in for his nose or anything. Can do that later. Could actually do that right here with a 5-point patch. Let's just replace it with a hole. But we'll just leave it like this right now. So select these. You can see the bias handles aren't showing. Select those, create it, flip it. Select those, hide, select it, create it, and unhide. So now I've got this nose. And right around here I'm actually going to crease these, so I select this spline, hit P to peek it, like that, and then you get a sharp edge in the corner there. You can round it out. What I think I'll do here is actually break it and take it down like this, and then I can take this one over, oops, over here. Whoop. If you deselect something and then you try and tumble, it'll tumble around the world center, so you got to be careful about that. This created a patch, but I actually don't want to do that. I'm going to go this way to here, and then down, and hook it. So that way I don't have that weird 5-point patch underneath my nose. That'll render kind of strangely. You can deal with 3-point patches. It's not that big a deal, but 5-point patches tend to give it problems. So let's just select these, create it. Move these back, go to my side view with 6, and let's kind of massage these points around. So now you can see I'm just kind of finessing these points around, making sure that they are working and that they're giving me a smooth surface. Now hooks actually aren't that big a deal around the mouth, mainly because especially on really flat geometry like this. Normally on a really detailed mouth you aren't going to want to have you aren't going to want to do that. Let's try one thing here. I'm going to delete these out, the ones that I just created. Delete these out. And I'm going to move this spline right here. Just move it up and move this part of the lip over. Now what I think I'll do here, come around like this, and go back up to just do that. Go into shaded mode, you can see here. Just want to get a good rounded shape. That way I can pull these ones back so that they're closer, and then there we go. Now I've got a much more rounded shape to it, and if I render it, it looks much, much better. So let's just do that. Plus I got rid of a hook around the mouth. So let's create or hide that, select it, create it, flip it. Alright, so we've got basically the front of our face. Let's save it. And let's go on to the next neck real quick and the back of the head. Go to your side view. Now that we've got that done, what we want to do is continue on down. And what I'm going to do is these splines here, I want to continue them around the head, and these I just want to go straight across. So I'm just going to go straight across here, here, get rid of this one, and bring this one straight over, get rid of that, and this one here. I want to go from here over to here first. Now the reason why I have to do this is I want to keep my continuity correct, so I select those in there, delete that, and this under the chin, I actually want it to go back up around the back side of the head. But one thing I want to do definitely is I want to take these and extend them back down around the head down to the neck. So I'm just going to divide this. Connect these, and then add them in here. And then I want to pull these back, just hold down 3 and pull them back. Just like so. Let's split this, hold down 3. Let's split these two. I've got 2 more splines, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Then I can take this one, go here, 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 here. This one can go here, 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 and here. And then I want to split this, and go like that. And then attach this here. But the thing I want to do here, I actually want to get rid of this hole right here, so I can put an ear in. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Take this, bring it back, bring this down, and then I'll bring this one actually down to here. I can start kind of splitting the geometry here. Shift Z if you ever get lost. Put this here, move it out. This one here, this one here, and this one here. Now, let's divide this one and just go up the back of the neck right there. Get rid of that CP. So those are all, I need to flip all of them, so let's go flip, 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 flip. Let's continue this one down this edge. Actually, before I do that, I think what I want to do is take this one and bring it down to right here. This can go straight across. This one can go straight across. This one can go down. This one can go here and go down. And then this one can too. Okay. So now I just have this right here that I want to bring down. I'm just going to hook this back one off. We'll probably end up extending it all the way down, but for now we don't need to. Select these 2 here. These 5-point patches, hide it, select it, create it, flip it. So now that I've got all this geometry in here, I want to start pulling it out. So I'm going to start shaping it. Now this I kind of want to be the definition of the jawline. First, let me start bringing this out. This spline right here is mainly what I want to use for the definition on the neck. So let's just grab that one, hold down 1, and just pull it out. Go into my front view, go into 8, and then hold down 1 and drag it out to where it needs to go. Do the same here, about halfway. This needs to go out here. This needs to come to the neck here. There. Basically, it's the I want to use it as the profile curve of my neck. So now you can see how it's pulled out. Let's pull these ones out too, just by using 3. Oops, not 3, 1. Just 1. Just keep using 1 and pull all of them out. Go into shaded mode here, and you can see how it's kind of weird. Let's pull this one back. So just kind of shape the jawline the way you want it to go. And I am going to want to extend this one all the way down, so let's just really quickly do this. Detach it, Shift K, and reattach it, and then just A, and go right down the line. These ones I want to round it out a little more. Remember what I was saying about kind of a radial. You want it, as it's creating the form, to go out from the center and not just straight down. That way you get a lot better shape. Okay, so I actually want to bring this forward, pull this back a little bit, tuck this in, and mainly what I want to do is just make sure that my shapes are working, that it's not too lumpy, but that's what I want right there. I just want the hint of that muscle coming down his throat. This up. pretty much there we have it for the head. I'm going to go ahead and just keep tweaking this a little bit at a time, but that's all the geometry you need for the head, at least for this head. I want to keep it very simple. I wanted to keep it very easy to work with, and just remembering the main loops that you want to create around the mouth and around the eye and around the nose and then along the cheek and stuff. But I'm just going to go through and keep finessing all these points so I get a really nice smooth surface, and then in the next tutorial we will build the ear. Let's go ahead and save it as willhead04. Like I said before, you don't have to have the new in there. And so that's it.